We're going to get started in a child's pose this evening, and let's do a wide-legged child's pose. So coming onto the mat, legs, knees come out wide, allowing the torso to fold down, dripping the belly between the legs. Arms come out long in front of you, and then allowing the forehead to rest down onto the earth. And if the forehead doesn't reach, you can stack palms or maybe grabbing your props. So we'll be using 2 blocks and a bolster for practice tonight. And if you don't have a block or a bolster, that's okay. We're gonna have lots of fun modifications. And you can use a couple of pillows, or you can even use a couple of towels would work too. And if you're just joining, we're starting in a child's pose. So, and then just taking this time to just come onto our mats. You know, we've all come from a busy day. It's the middle of the week. So there's kind of some exciting and a shift of energy when we come into this evening practice. You know, we're leaving behind the Monday and Tuesday and the Wednesday, and then we have some days to be looking forward to. But let's try and settle that energy and just find ourselves and be present here on the mat. And I think we're going to take a cleansing breath together today. So in our child's pose, go ahead and release lungs all the way to the top. Open mouth, let go. Let's do that again. Big, deep inhale. Fill up the lungs. Feel the belly expand between the legs. Open mouth, exhale, let it all go. One last time. Big, deep inhale in. Open mouth, exhale, let that go. And then start to just check in with the body. How are you feeling tonight? Maybe noticing if you have any points of tension or tightness in the body. And see if you can relax or soften those points of tension. I have a really fun practice planned for us this evening. So maybe we start now by inviting in an attitude of playfulness and curiosity. And we'll probably be using the most advanced yoga pose I know. And don't worry, you can all do it. That pose is as easy. In fact, all it is lifting the corners of your mouth into a smile. And that, my friends, is the most advanced yoga pose I know. So we'll be using a lot of that today. And let's go ahead and start to connect with the breath. So just noticing the natural rhythm of your breath here before we set up any breath pattern. Noticing the natural rise and fall of the torso or your chest or your belly on your inhales and exhales. And although we have a fun practice planned, we do have some core work and some strength in the shoulders that we're going to be tapping into tonight. So we're going to use our Ujjayi pranayama, our victorious breath, to stoke our inner fire tonight and get us strong and powerful for our practice. So let's go ahead and set up that breath now. We'll find a slight constriction in the back of the throat and then begin to breathe in and out of the nose, creating a little, like a whisper sound in the back of the throat. Might sound like an ocean. It's also referred to as oceanic breath. And this audible noise that we're making also helps tether the mind to the body. So it creates an awareness around our breath and tethers the mind to the body to help us in moments where we feel where the mind starts to go into chaos or the heart begins to race. And we use this breath to steady the mind and steady the heart. And then for times where maybe our practice is not quite as intense, it's a little more passive, this sound, this breath also helps the mind stay connected to the present moment instead of wandering or drifting off. So set up a pattern that you can maintain for class today. So that pattern might be an equal part inhale and an equal part exhale. Or it might be a longer inhale and a longer inhale and a shorter exhale, or vice versa. And it doesn't have to be super technical. You don't have to actually count out the breath, but if that helps you, you're welcome to do that now. I'll give you just another couple moments to set up that pattern of breath. Begin to press the hands into the mat out in front of you. And then very slowly draw the navel into the spine. So it's already starting to activate the core here, and use that power of the connection from the belly button to the spine to lift your torso up, coming into tabletop pose. And in tabletop, our hands are about shoulder distance apart, shoulders are stacked over wrists, and then hips are, knees are stacked under hips about hip distance apart. We're going to take a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So on the inhale, allow the belly to hammock, tilt the sit bones up behind you, and then pull and reach the heart forward, cow pose. We'll pause here for breath. And then on the next exhale, coming into cat pose, rounding the spine. So tilting those sit bones down toward the earth, rounding the spine, lifting the back of the heart to the sky. Allow the head to be heavy, maybe tucking the chin into the chest. Pause here for a full round of breath. And then inhale to cow, exhale to cat. Using the length of the breath to guide the length of the movement. So the bottom of the inhale will take you into the full expression of cow, and then the bottom of the exhale will take you into the full expression of cat. Do that. Let's do that two more rounds. Cow and cat. And then after your last cat, come to a neutral spine. We're going to be doing a lot of work in the hips and in the hamstrings today. So from your tabletop, we're going to extend the right leg long out to the side. So kind of planting the foot, toes are pointed toward the top of your mat. And just pause here, maybe find some evenness in the hips. So if you've kind of tilted over to one side, maybe finding some evenness in the hips, and just kind of getting into the inner right leg here and the groin area. And we'll breathe. And then on your next inhale, ground down, really start to shift the weight over into the left hand. And we're going to open the torso up over to the right, opening the right hand up to the sky. And pausing here. A couple rounds of breath. Open up the chest. Maybe pull that arm back a little bit further, reaching up through the fingertips, lifting out of that left shoulder. Oh, these look beautiful. On your exhale, plant your right hand back down to the mat, bring the right knee back in to meet the left, and let's switch sides. So extending the left leg out long to your side, planting the foot, toes are pointed toward the top of the mat. Finding some evenness in the hips. So if you've shifted your hip over to one side or the other, just finding some evenness in the hips and getting into that inner groin on the left side and the inner thigh on the left side. And breathe. And on your next inhale, shift the weight over to the right, open the torso to the left, reach that left hand to the sky. Lift out of the right shoulder here. Maybe start now to connect navel to spine. We'll be doing some core work tonight. Our peak pose is an arm balance, so we'll be doing a lot in the shoulders and the arms, but also a lot in our core. Exhale, release the left hand down, draw the left knee back into the mat. And from here, we're going to take a little spinal balance. So let's start this off slow. So again, draw the navel into the spine, really activate that already here. Bring the right foot back behind and come onto the ball of the right foot. And just pause here. And then inhale, reach the right heel up. So there's a long line. Your heel is basically an extension coming straight out from that right hip socket. So we're not opening up the hip. Both hip points are facing down toward the mat. If you'd like to challenge the balance a little bit more, maybe starting to get light on the left fingertips on the left hand, and then reach the left hand out in front of you, as if you're shaking someone's hand. It's our spinal balance. And hold this here. Really draw the navel into the spine. So activating those abdominal muscles here. Draw the low ribs in. Breathe. Now, option to hold this here, or we can challenge the balance a little bit more by taking the right leg out to the side and the left hand out to the side, coming into this airplane pose, and then coming back to center on an inhale, and then exhale, coming back out. So you can take any of the previous variations, whatever feels comfortable for you. So you can drop that foot back down, you can drop the hand back down, but whatever version, staying active in the core here and making sure that both hip points are pointing down toward the mat. We'll say one more round of breath wherever you're at. And then slowly draw the left hand down back to the mat. Right knee comes back to the mat, meeting the left, and then switching sides. So extending that left leg out long behind you, coming onto the ball of that back foot. Pausing here, checking in with those hips. And then inhale, reach the left heel up. One long line from the hip all the way down to the heel. On your next inhale, if you'd like to take that arm variation, reaching the right arm up so the arm is coming straight out of that shoulder socket. Beautiful line of energy shooting out of the fingertips here. Drawing the navel into the spine, low ribs in, and breathe. And if you would like to take that airplane variation, drawing the left foot out to the side, right arm out to the side, drawing it back to center. And following your breath, allowing the breath to guide the movement here, or just holding, whichever version you're taking, just staying connected with the breath and staying connected with the core. On your next exhale, release the left hand down to meet, right hand down to meet the left. And then release the left knee down to meet the right. Sink the hips back, coming into a child's pose. And just a reminder in your practice that this is your pose to come to when you need a moment of rest. For those of you who've been practicing with me for a while, I like to call this your wisdom pose. Only you know when it's time to use this pose. So when you get out of breath, when the mind begins to chatter, or you just need a moment of pause, this is your reminder that you can come into this pose at any time during your practice, regardless of what I'm cueing. When you're ready, press into those hands, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, coming into our first downward facing dog. And then from down dog, just wiggling out your dog, walk your dog, maybe pedaling out your feet, bending and straightening the legs, maybe shifting the hips from side to side. Just waking up, getting some more blood circulated into the body, waking up the joints a little bit here. And then find some stillness, and let's just check in with our alignment. Hands are about shoulder width apart, index fingers pointing toward the top of the mat, pressing into all 10 fingers, lifting out of the armpits. Triceps are rotated under. Draw that navel into the spine, low ribs knitted in, hips are reaching up to the sky. Check in with your feet, making sure that your stance is about a fist and a half. There's a fist and a half of space between your toes. And then finding a slight bend or maybe a deep bend in the knees. And your heels are reaching down toward the earth. No bonus points if they touch. If they're touching, you have to work harder. All right, let's bend the knees, gaze forward. Exhale, let's walk or step to the top of the mat, meeting in forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, palms to shins, long spine, reach out through the crown of the head. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, reach the arms to the sky. Exhale, draw your hands to heart center. Pause here for a moment. Maybe close the eyes, check in. Notice the heart. Notice if your breath has changed from the original pattern that you started at the beginning of class. Maybe the body is starting to heat up. On your next inhale, sink the hips back, arms come up to the sky, chair pose. I'm checking in with our chair, our alignment in our chair. Our knees are behind our toes. Spine is long and tall, navel is drawn in toward the spine. Arms are reaching to the sky. Shoulders are sliding down the back. Sink a little deeper in your chair. I know that Susan loves chair pose. She told me that she could sit in chair pose all night. Just kidding. All right, we'll sink a little deeper, 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 a little deeper. Okay, let's lay down on our backs. All right, go ahead and grab your block for this. We're gonna do a little bit of core work. So extend the heels to the sky. And you're gonna take your block, and if you don't have a block, you don't even need a block, but the block is kind of nice. It does create some additional effort and work in the legs and in the core. It's this additional weight. So you don't actually have to have a block, but if you have a water bottle, like a plastic water bottle, or even a folded blanket or something like that would work. So taking your block, putting it between your feet, and really press the feet together. And so you'll feel even your low abdomen kind of fire up here with that press. And then take the arms and we'll reach up toward our feet. So the upper part of the back is lifted off of the mat. Your shoulders are lifted off of the mat. Take an inhale. And then on an exhale, we're going to very slowly lower arms and legs down toward the mat. Keep the low back pressed into the mat. So if you start to lower and the low back lifts, pause and stop. That's as far as you'll go. You'll go, maybe it's halfway, maybe it's a quarter of the way. And then inhale, come back up, take the block in your hands, and then exhale, lower legs down to the earth as far as you can go without lifting that low back. And then inhale, rise up, place that block between your feet. And we'll do that 4 more times. Oh, it feels so good. Love that core. So this is really important work for the arm balance that we have planned tonight. We really want to tap into the energy of our core here. We really want a strong and powerful core. Bruiser is here to help me. Oh, he's making sure it's strong. Okay, I think that was 5. We'll do one last one for good measure. All right, and let it go. Release the feet down to the earth. Now, option here, you can roll onto a side and push yourself up, or you can rock back and forth, rolling forward, planting the hands down onto the earth, meeting in an upper plank position. So from plank, hands are shoulder width apart. Again, pressing into all 10 fingers, lifting out of the shoulders. Knees are lifted off of the earth. Hips are in line with shoulders. Let's go ahead and actually, we'll do our chaturanga push-ups first. So if you guys would like to watch me first, we're gonna inhale, shift forward, and then lower halfway for chaturanga. So you can do these with the knees on the earth. You don't have to keep them lifted. So knees on the earth is a nice way to support. We wanna make sure that our shoulders are not dipping lower beyond our elbows, okay? This is gonna be really important in our arm balance that we're doing today. So one chaturanga here. We're gonna do this 5 times. So pushing up and coming into chaturanga. Pushing up, coming into chaturanga. 3 more times. Pushing up, chaturanga. Yes. All right, guys. And then release that, come onto the belly. Inhale, reach the heart forward. Exhale, tuck the toes, push the hips up and back, meeting in downward facing dog. Let's take a cleansing breath together. Release any air that's in the lungs. And then inhale, big, deep inhale, fill up the lungs. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. Inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, plant the right foot behind the right hand. Release the left knee down to the earth. We're gonna inhale, rise up, coming into a low lunge. Yeah. If this feels like a lot of pressure on that back knee, you can take a blanket or some, or even your bolster or pillow, and you can put it underneath that left knee. Inhale, reaching the arms to the sky. So we are doing a lot of work in the shoulders. We're still warming up here. If you would like to give your shoulders a rest, maybe bringing your hands to heart center, but really feel the energy and the heat that we've already started to build in our core and in our shoulders. And then maybe tap into that advanced pose I taught you at the beginning of class. Lifting the corners of the mouth, giggling a little. All right, exhale, plant the hands onto the mat, step the right foot back to meet the left, coming back into downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the left heel to the sky, and then plant the left foot behind the left hand, release the right knee to the earth. Inhale, rise up, coming into this low lunge on the other side. Again, you can take that option of bringing hands to heart center here. Maybe sinking a little deeper, getting into that right hip flexor, so that front side of the right thigh. Breathing. And then plant the hands, step the right foot back to meet the left, shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, gaze forward. Exhale, walk, step, or jump to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, mountain pose. Hands come to heart center. Inhale, sink the hips back, reach the arms to the sky, chair pose. Draw the knees behind the toes, draw the navel into the spine. Maybe sink a little deeper into those hips. Maybe a little deeper. Maybe a little deeper. Maybe you smile, maybe you giggle with me. Don't take it serious, it's just fucking yoga. Release the hips down, and let's do some more of our lift and lowers with the block. So taking that block in between the feet, lifting the back off of the mat, reaching up with the hands, take an inhale, and then on your exhale, slowly lowering everything down to the earth. Inhale, rise back up, grab that block in your hands, releasing everything down to the earth. Do that 4 more times. And again, remember, maybe you don't even use the block. Maybe you just do the lift and lower. Maybe you just keep the torso rested on the mat and you just lift and lower the legs. That's a perfectly acceptable option here too. Again, just firing up the core, trying to get all of that great core strength for our arm balance tonight. Okay, I lost count because I was talking, I'm sorry. We'll say one more. Or if you were keeping count and you're ready to pause, that's perfectly fine too. All right, let that all go. Set your block. Actually, go ahead and grab both of your blocks and place them toward the top of the mat. And then taking your option, either rolling onto a side to push yourself up or rocking forward and back, rolling over your knees, planting the hands, and then meeting in a high plank pose. And actually, let's go ahead and just everyone drop to the knees, and we're gonna set up our props. We're gonna set up the use of our blocks. And again, if you don't have blocks, that's okay. What we're gonna be doing is just kind of using these as a guide for alignment. We wanna check in with, because we are putting so much weight and so much pressure in our shoulder joint, we wanna make sure that we're protecting that joint. And that's where these angles are really important so that the shoulder doesn't dip below the elbow here. So if you don't have blocks, that's okay. You can watch and you can and then create an awareness or mindfulness around your own body mechanics. So taking the blocks, and you may have to kind of play around with them a little bit. So bringing them inside, and your hands will probably be planted outside of the blocks. And then just from tabletop, just shifting forward and finding a rest, resting your shoulders on the blocks here. Okay. And once you have that, go ahead and extend. You might have to kick your American Bulldog. Extend your right leg long, extend your left leg long. And then this is your chaturanga hold. This is your half push-up, your low plank pose. Okay. And then from here, we're gonna push ourselves up into full plank. And then we're gonna do 5 more of these. So just tapping the shoulders onto the blocks, just like we were doing earlier. Tap, tap, tap. And smiling. And then releasing the knees to the earth. Move your props out of the way. And then lowering all the way down to the belly. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Slide the hands down toward the low ribs. And then inhale, reach the heart forward. Draw the elbows in toward one another. Cobra pose. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, meeting in downward facing dog. All right, let's get into it, shall we? Inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. And let's go ahead and bend the knee and open the hip here. So stacking the hips, noticing if you've shifted the weight between your left or your right arm, and finding some even distribution of weight. So you're holding the weight in both the left and the right arm evenly. And then take your hip circles. So rotating that knee around the hip. Breathing. Exhale, extend the right heel long. Inhale, extend the right heel behind you. And then exhale, draw the right foot on the outside of the right hand. Release the left knee down to the earth, coming into this passive lizard pose. So I'm just going to show you guys from here. So the right foot is on the outside of my right hand. Lifting out of the shoulders, pressing into the hands here. So we're doing two things here. We're getting into the left hip flexor and that left, the front of the left thigh. And then we're also kind of opening up the hip here. So if you like, you can actually take your right hand and very gently start to guide that right knee to the side and opening up the hip a little bit more. Maybe coming onto the edge of the left foot. And if that doesn't feel good in your body, just coming back to center and holding here. There's plenty of work to be done right here too. Breathing. Sending the breath to those points of tension and tightness that are in the body here. And then on your next exhale, we're going to shift the hips back, coming into this wide leg half split. Now you can take your blocks here if you'd like, or if you just want to walk your hands back and hold in this modified half split. And then you can play with pointing or flexing the toes. So maybe flexing the foot, maybe you scoot the heel out a little bit further and then getting into the back of that right leg. Try to keep the spine straight and long here. So again, this might be helpful having the blocks come to your side or even just one so that you have the spine long, because when you're rounding the spine, you're actually going to be getting into the low back. Whereas if you keep the spine straight and long, you may experience a greater sensation, a greater stretch in the back of that right leg. Does look good? Go ahead and rebend into that right knee. Plant the hands on the inside of the right foot. Lift the left knee. So we're coming onto the ball of the left foot. And then we're going to take an inhale. And then on the exhale, we're going to reach the right foot back, coming into three-legged dog. And then we're going to take a couple of shoulder taps from here. So inhale, shift forward to plank, right knee to right tricep. Exhale, right heel to the sky. Inhale, right knee to right tricep. Exhale, right heel to the sky. Inhale, right knee, right tricep. Smile. Exhale, right heel to the sky. Inhale, right knee, right tricep. Exhale, right knee to the sky, right heel to the sky. Release the right foot down to meet the left. Release the knees to the earth. Sink the hips back, come into child's pose. Check in with the breath. We did a lot of movement, a lot of shifting, opening up the hips. I'm gonna get all that in on the other side. I'm gonna check on time, make sure that we have enough time to play here. We do, we're doing good. Tuck the toes, press into the hands, shift the hips up and back, coming into downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Bend the knee, open the hip, checking again if you've redistributed the weight into one hand or the other, and then just finding some balance there. And then rotating that knee around the hip socket. Breathing. And then inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot on the outside of the left hand. Release the right knee down to the earth, coming into our low lizard pose, lizard lunge, lizard pose. Pressing into the hands, lifting out of the shoulders. Again, targeting that right hip flexor, the front of the right thigh. And then if it feels good, maybe taking the left hand and gently guiding the left knee open, coming onto the edge of the left foot. Breathing. Plant the left hand on the inside of the left foot, tuck the right toes, lift that right knee, and then drawing that left foot back in. So left knee comes into center, and then reaching that left heel to the sky, three-legged dog. And then we're going to do those knee to shoulder taps or knee to tricep taps. So shift forward to plank, left knee, left tricep. Reach the left heel to the sky. Left knee, left tricep. Breathe. Left knee to the sky. Smile. Let's see if you can do this whole set with a smile. Left heel to the sky. Left knee to left tricep. We'll do this one more time. Left knee to left foot to the sky. Last one. Left knee to left tricep. Left heel to the sky. Release the left foot down to meet the right. Release the knees down to the earth. Sink the hips back. Come into child's pose. Check in with the breath. Steady the mind, steady the heart here. And when you're ready, you can come up to a seat, and I'm going to demonstrate how you're going to set up for this next pose. So just coming, you can either come to hero's pose or you can sit cross-legged. I'm just going to show you really quick, and then we'll all meet in a tabletop once I show you how to set everything up. So this is where you're going to need your props. You're going to want to grab your props. And so I'm going to take you through the most supported version and variation of this pose. So we're going to be doing flying splits tonight. And if you have your props, you are going to do a flying split tonight. So that is pretty cool if you've never done an arm balance before. I'm a huge proponent and advocate for using props. Our props are what keep us supported, and they allow us to be playful and have fun in our practice. And that's what it's all about. It's about learning our body and experiencing these moments in our body. So, and our props allow us to do that. So, okay, so we're going to take our two blocks, and we're going to stack them, and then taking the bolster or your pillow, and you're going to lay it on top of the blocks. Okay, so you're kind of creating this little ramp. And then with the left knee, I'm going to take my left knee and put it on the edge of my pillow. And then my right knee, my right foot is going to come up. So remember our low lunge that we started with earlier? So that's what we're going to be coming into here. And then from here, we're going to plant the hands onto the earth. And then I'm going to take you through some more, a little bit deeper into that pose. So go ahead and get that set up. Go ahead and take your props. If you don't have blocks, but you just have pillows, so just do your best to stack up the pillows so that you can find some support. And we're looking to put it in here on this, this left hip and hip flexor. And I'm just gonna come over, I'm gonna check and make sure everyone's getting set up okay. If you have questions, go ahead and unmute and you can ask me questions. Caitlin, that looks great. Susan is working it, I love it. Dawn looks good. I'm gonna scroll over here real quick. Oh yeah, Tiff is ready to rock and roll. Rachel's looking at me like, let's go, mama, I'm ready to fly. All right, so let's do this. So taking that knee onto the bolster. And so all of our bodies are different. So maybe where you end up on here is gonna be a little bit different than mine, than in my body. So again, we're just finding some support on our left hip flexor, right in there, right below our, right at the very top of our left thigh. And then we're going to step out with the right foot. So we have this 90-degree angle in the right foot. And then we're planting both hands on the inside of that right foot. And then find a press into the right shoulder with your right knee. And then just coming into those chaturanga arms, shifting forward, and then allow that right foot to come off of the earth. So you're floating, you're in these chaturanga arms, and your right leg, your right knee is attached to your elbow. So you've kind of created this shelf for your elbow. And then with the support of the block and the bolster, you can lift your left leg. And then place the left leg back down, replant the right foot, come up again. And we'll do that a couple times. So we're just gonna make like a little flow out of this. So shifting forward into chaturanga arms, connecting that right knee to right tricep, lifting, floating the right foot, lifting the left. Allow the left to come back down to the earth, right foot plants back down, pushing ourselves back up. Let's do that a couple more times. Shifting forward, chaturanga arms, right knee to right tricep, floating that right foot, lifting the left foot. Allow the left foot to come back down to the earth. Right foot comes down, shifting up. We'll do that one more time. Shifting forward, chaturanga arms, right knee to right tricep, float that right foot, lift the left. Plant that left foot, plant the right, come back up. And I'm just going to, if you, yeah, well, I'll catch you guys on the other side. I'm sorry. I was going to come and make sure everyone got that okay, but I'll catch you guys on the other side. So, and then let's go ahead and just switch sides. So bringing the blocks over to the right, or your props, whatever you're using, creating that little ramp, and then allow the right knee down onto the bolster, planting the hands down onto the earth, coming into that low lunge. Hands are on the inside of that left foot. Shifting forward, chaturanga arms, pressing the right and left knee into the left tricep, floating that left foot, and then floating that right leg. Pushing back up, planting the right foot down. And I'm gonna just check and make sure that you guys are doing okay. So again, just playing around. Yeah, I see you guys playing around with your props. This is just fun. Just make it fun. It's not serious. It doesn't look like anything. This is just you guys having fun. Yes, I love the smiles. There's this is the advanced pose I was talking about. This looks great. Oh, that's beautiful, Rachel. Beautiful. Okay, let's do, okay, so I have another variation for you guys if you want to play with this. So if this feels good and you're happy with playing with this kind of flow and variation, you can stick with this. And we're going to incorporate this into a sequence in just a minute. So let's set the bolster aside if you want to try one of the other variations. So this one is this one is actually really challenging for me. I can't float my back leg with this one, but we're going to try it anyway because someone else, again, all of our bodies are different, right? So we have different strength in different areas of our body. Our torsos are long, short, and same thing with our legs. So just like we did with the exercise and doing our chaturanga arms, we're gonna place the block underneath our shoulders here. So coming on to like your tabletop, coming to tabletop, we'll start there. And then dropping the shoulders onto the blocks. And then from here, you're already in chaturanga arms. You're gonna draw, I'm gonna demo with my left side, but you're gonna draw the left knee, or your right knee, excuse me, your right knee to your right elbow, right knee, right elbow. So that's already floating. And then coming up onto the ball of the right foot. So we're kind of in this, I don't know, modified low plank chaturanga arms. And then you can reach the left foot out and draw it back in. Or right, I'm sorry, I know I'm saying left, but you guys are on your right. And then if you can, floating that right foot. I can't do it from this angle. So, but if you can, again, your core is nice and strong here. Release the right knee back down to the earth. Allow the left knee to meet the right, and then switch sides. And I keep saying the wrong side, I'm sorry. I know you guys are doing the right side. And then just switching sides. So I was doing, you guys are gonna do the left, so drawing the right knee in, left knee into left elbow. Lifting that right knee off of the earth. And then extending and drawing back in that left foot. Allowing that to come back in and out. And then releasing the right knee to the earth. Allow the left knee to meet the right, and then coming back up. Okay. And then I have one more to show you guys. So taking the blocks once again, we'll do this on the left. So just stacking the blocks. And then this time the blocks, instead of supporting the hip, they're actually gonna support the thigh. And this variation, this change requires a greater amount of core engagement, which is truly where you're gonna find the lift. This is how you're gonna lift the back part of your body. All right, so coming into our low lunge again. So right foot steps up front. Your hands are placed on the inside of the right foot. Come onto the ball of the left foot. Allow the left thigh to rest on your stack of blocks here, and then shifting forward. So getting light on the right foot, right knee, right tricep, shifting forward into your chaturanga arms, maybe allowing the right heel to come out to the side. So extending that right foot, and then maybe lifting the back leg. And that is your flying split. If you're doing this, you're doing flying split. And then coming back, releasing the left foot down to the earth, drawing the right foot back up, down to the earth, and then let's switch sides. Coming into that low lunge, hugging the blocks up to that right knee, hands plant on the inside of the left foot, come high onto the ball of the right foot, rest the thighs on top of the blocks, hinge forward, start to hinge forward, pressing that left knee into left tricep, float that left foot, coming into your chaturanga arms, and then floating that back leg. So something I haven't mentioned is that when we're coming into this arm balance, the elbows are really hugging in really tight into the sides. So they're actually creating a shelf for the torso, for that upper part of the body. Okay. And then I'm just going to cue and demo if any of you are interested in floating everything and trying to do the full flying splits. So you can come in from that low lunge again, or the lizard lunge, hands on the inside, back foot lifts, hinge forward to chaturanga arms, float that right foot, extend it out to the side, and then float that back foot. Drawing the elbows in, hugging into the torso. Okay. So let's see, how am I on time? Any questions? Anyone have any questions or challenges right now before we put that into a really quick flow? And that was the bulk of our practice. Okay, cool. All right, so we're just gonna basically repeat the last flow that we did with this option of flying your split. So maybe that's with the bolster and the blocks, maybe that's just with the blocks, maybe you're floating everything, or you wanna just work what you're doing. So I'm gonna cue a flow and we'll be able to incorporate the either supported version or your flying version. All right, so coming into downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, step the right foot on the outside of the right hand. This is where you'll have your props on the left side, or if you're doing the block version up by your shoulders, you'll have your blocks on the inside of your hands. And then take an inhale. Exhale, shift forward, chaturanga arms, draw the elbows into the torso, lift the right foot off of the earth, and then lift the left. Exhale, release the left foot down to the earth, right foot plants back down on the outside of the right hand, step the left foot back to meet the right, release all the way down, release the tops of the feet, press the tops of the feet into the earth, hands come down to the sides. Inhale, reach the heart forward, cobra pose. Tuck the toes, shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's get that on the other side. So shifting your props over to the right. And then when you're ready, inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot on the outside of the left hand. Begin to shift forward, coming into your chaturanga arms, lift the left foot off of the mat. Right foot floats, flying splits. Exhale, allow the right foot back down, left foot onto the earth. Step the left foot back to meet the right, lowering all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet press into the mat. Inhale, reach the heart forward. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Release the knees to the earth. Sink back, fold the torso over the thighs, come into child's pose. You guys did it. Let it go. I saw each of you, a bunch of badass flying split yogis. And I saw lots of smiling, which makes me happy. I love it. Caitlin hasn't had enough. I love it. All right. Let's start to cool down, shall we? So we're going to come all the way up to a seat. Extend the legs out long in front of you. And we have a bunch of props if you would like to sit up on something. So allowing the pelvis to kind of have a more natural tilt forward instead of this rounding the spine. We're targeting the back of the legs. So ground down in the sit bones. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. And then with the straight spine, hinge forward, keeping the spine straight, and pause at your first line of resistance. So that might not be very far. Maybe that's almost sitting up entirely, and just pausing there and breathing. And then release the hands down to the earth. And then with a straight spine, see if you can pull yourself in a little bit deeper on your next exhale. Maybe finding a slight bend in the back of the knees. And still targeting the back of the legs here. Maybe pulling yourself a little bit deeper. And then on your next exhale, allowing the spine to round, allow the forehead to drip down toward the legs. It doesn't have to touch, but the forehead is just reaching to the legs. See if you can release the head, release the spine. Find a nice deep rounding in the spine, rounding in the back. Send your breath to the entire length of the backside of the body. So maybe imagining on your inhale, coming through your heels, traveling all the way up your legs, around your low back, up the middle section of your back, upper back, and over the crown of the head. And very slowly start to walk your hands back, assisting the torso up. And then we're going to roll all the way down onto our back. Reach the arms up and overhead. And then walk the feet over to the left side of the mat. Pausing here. Find ground down in your hips, so making sure that your right hip hasn't kicked up. We want to stay flat, connecting the low back and the hips down to the mat. And then if you would like to deepen the sensation in the right side body a little bit more, you can walk the arms over to the left. Maybe just the upper part of the back shifts over to the left. But again, staying grounded in the hips here, as if the back of the hips were anchored into the earth. And then option to take a crossing with the legs. So you could cross left ankle over right, and that might create some additional traction and sensation in the right side body. And you might even want to play around with crossing right ankle over left. See how that feels. Breathing here. And so as we slow down our practice, we start coming into these more passive poses. This is when the mind likes to wander. So using the breath, that pattern, the sound that you set up at the beginning of practice to keep you present in this moment. And very slowly start to walk the feet back to center. And then if you took an arm variation, walking your arms back to center. Pausing before switching sides and just noticing how your two sides might feel here. Maybe your body's in so much shock and everything that we just did. Maybe everything's numb. Just kidding. Go ahead and walk the feet over to the right, pausing, really anchoring down in the hips and that low back. And then if you'd like to deepen the sensation, walking the upper part of your shoulders and your arms over to the right. Maybe clasping, right hand clasping elbow or even your wrist. And then taking a foot variation, a crossing, if you would like to experiment with that too. So crossing the right ankle over left, or even left ankle over right, and just playing with that, taking an option that feels good to you. Sending the breath into that left side body, into the shoulders, to the hips, to the low back. If you took a crossing, very gently uncross, walk the feet back to center, walk the arms and upper body back to center. And then allow the arms to come down by your side, and then bend the knees, planting the feet about a foot or two in front of the glutes. And then we're going to cross right thigh over left. And if you want to take the full eagle bind option, so hooking the right foot around the left calf, we're going to take a twist here. If this feels like too much on the knees or maybe too much pressure in your hips, you can just do this crossing of the right thigh over left. Scoot the hips over to the right. Allow the arms to come out to the side like a T. Hi, buddy. And then exhale, allow the legs to fall over to the left. And again, if this feels awkward or uncomfortable, you can even release the crossing altogether and just come into a gentle twist, stacking knees, right knee over left. Whatever feels good to you. Just trying to keep grounded in that right shoulder again. So imagining that shoulder's anchored into the earth here. And really accentuating the stretch in that right side body, into the hips, to the low back, and the shoulder, and the chest. Very slowly come back to center, release the crossing of the legs, shifting the hips back to center, and then crossing left thigh over right. And then taking that double wrap if you like that, scooching the hips over to the left, and then on your exhale, releasing the legs over to the right. Making sure that left shoulder is anchored down to the earth. This is the very last movement that we'll be doing before Shavasana, so I do invite you to start to draw in a little bit of gratitude for your practice today, for your body, for the amazing ways that you moved your body today, for the way that you played and experimented with me today. On your next inhale, come back to center and cross the legs. And then however you would like to take Shavasana. So we have lots of props with us. If you would like to take a bolster and place it under your knees, if you would like to take soles of the feet together and taking a block and allowing your hips and the thighs to rest on a block, that might be a nice variation. And then let's take one final cleansing breath together to release you into your final resting pose. So release any air that's currently in the lungs. And then a deep inhale, fill up the lungs all the way to the top. Hold it. Open mouth, exhale, let it go.
So the beauty of having a home practice and practicing virtually with friends like this is that we can stay in Shavasana as long as our little hearts desire. So if you would like more time, you're welcome to stay here. I did give you a very short Shavasana today. So if you need more, by all means, take more. If you are ready to start moving, maybe finding some gentle movement, starting with wiggling fingers and toes, or even finding some deeper breaths and inviting deeper breaths into the body. And again, you are welcome to stay as you are. If you would like to finish class in a seat with me, finding your way maybe onto a side and then slowly pushing yourself up to a seat. And so, today we used props to support us and to explore and find playfulness. And so I would like to invite you to see, as you go out into the world, into your lives, and as you take on the rest of your evening, maybe contemplate, in what ways do you need to be supported to feel free to fly with an attitude of playfulness in your life? I think we all need more of that right now, especially right now in kind of the state of the world. And, we continue to be living through a pandemic and just a really intense climate in life right now. So I encourage you all to find ways to be playful off your mats. Hands come to heart center. It is such a great honor to sit in the seat and share this wonderful practice of yoga with each of you. And I continue to grow and learn and be a student in my own practice as I observe and play and watch each of you. The light in me sees and honors the light in all of you. Namaste. Mwah.